はなんとなくスーパーな私たちの日常走り出した We stay as fortune.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Pull the Trigger on a Podcast. The podcast where none of us are lolicons. Not even to, solve a situation. Ever.
No.
I fucking... Oh, of course, the dog's gonna start now. I fucking did not enjoy this episode. This is an episode I did not enjoy. We'll get into the why of it. It's just a weird episode to begin with, but then it, just dives right off the... We'll get into it. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, Doc Sea Monster. Hey, Doc! How you doing?
Doing just fine.
Yeah?
Don't know what to say about this episode, but you know.
What can you say about this episode? Whew. What have you been up to since we last recorded? Let's start there. A good place to start.
Sure. Well, let's see. I've been doing very little lately. I'm out of my work is not is on break because of spring break.
Right,
So
of course.
So I intended to be productive for the week, and I have not been.
Oh. I see. Well, productivity comes and goes. That's just the way life is. You watch anything good recently? Obviously, not this episode. But anything else, maybe?
Let's see. Welcome to the Demon School of Rumacun is pretty good. I've been enjoying that.
That's the one about the human who gets adopted by a demon lord, right? And goes to demon school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't watched that. I've only heard it in passing.
I'm only about 6 or 7 episodes in. It's pretty fun.
Well, that's good.
Made me cry.
Made you cry?
Yes, there was but in a good way. There was an episode that was kind of sad, but it had a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad it had a happy ending. That's always good. Anything else?
Let's see. I am like 2 days away from being from getting the 2-week mark after my second vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So as of 3 days, I will be completely free of things, and I'm going to be going back to the movies.
Right, to see Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm going to see Godzilla.
Or that big monkey pulls out an axe out of nowhere. Not happy.
No. Gotta fucking cheat to win.
Yep. Cool. Is that all?
Let's see. Yeah, I've had a pretty slow week.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I've been up to my usual antics of working and watching stuff. So such as I started watching a new anime that I'm 3 or 4 episodes in, and I like it. I like the premise. I don't much like... Okay. So, like, the main character is like a very, like, the most typical looking anime boy you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, there's a style, but this guy's like just typical as fuck looking. His name is Lloyd. Fine. He's a dumbass. He is a moron. Like, and there's a bunch of girl characters who are really enamored with him, and I'm like, but why? Like, if you can find like the most generic, why the most generic anime boy? I mean, not like these characters like have varying, interesting designs to begin with, right? But they have what I feel like is more character than the main character. But that's because the main character, I suppose, is not supposed to have a whole lot of character. So I'm just like, the name of the show is called Suppose a Kid from the Last Dungeon Boonies Moved to a Starter Town, which is, you know, the most light novel name you could possibly have.
It is. It really is.
And it's about a kid named Lloyd, and he is born in a town that is near where like demon lords and shit are, and is known to like give birth to like great heroes of the nation who never like get involved in anything because they're too powerful, unless it's like dealing with like way supernatural problems such as demon lords, for example. So that they don't get to like politics or like wars or stuff like that, just like big events. And he himself is a weakling among them. Like, he is just a weak kid, like, in comparison to all of them. And I say in comparison because he moves to this starter town to become a soldier, because that's his dream, is to become like a soldier and like and whatnot. And it turns out that even though he's like weak amongst his people, like everybody in his town has to like watch out for him. In the starter town, he is ridiculously crazy strong. Like, he's like, there are these giant locusts, chaos locusts. They are like, in D&D terms, they're like a, I'd say a gargantuan creature. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he's just like flicking them away with his fingers, or like tossing them into like the into the sky to where they do the Team Rocket, like ding, like, you know, he's stupid strong. And that's a fun premise. I'm all about that premise, but he never connects the dots that he's actually strong when around normal people, because his normal is he's weak. And so you'd think he would get it after like everybody tells him like, whoa, you're taking care of these big monsters for us like so easily. And he's like, monsters, these are just like insects, they're just bugs. Meh. And I mean, he's not wrong, they are bugs, but they're monsters. Yeah. It's just like, so, but all the female characters, save for like 2, are like really into this guy. And I'm just like, man, he's so generic. It's a good premise though. It's a good setup. I like the premise. There's a point where, and not every character around him realizes that he's strong. They don't have good danger sense, but the ones that do are like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? There's a good setup where one of the people who has danger sense is trying to get him to fight a different like cadets of like the soldier army to see what he can do. And another character with good danger says, like, are you sure this is okay? He, like, will Alan, the other character, survive if he, like, even takes a hit from this kid? And he's like, don't worry, Alan's super famous for, like, being tough. Like, he's known for his toughness. So long as, like, Lloyd doesn't hit him, like, directly in the face, like, full on, he should be fine. He should live. This is exactly when Alan says, you know what, I realize that I'm bigger and much stronger than you are, so I'm going to give you a head start. I'm going to let you hit me in the face as hard as you can. And everybody just is like, oh. He does not kill Alan. He doesn't even hit Alan. Things happen at the last second. But, you know, it's like I said, I like the setup, and hopefully it continues to be funny. It's just funny. So, yeah, we'll see. watching wrestling. Did you ever get to see that Maki Itoh thing that I told you about?
No.
Oh, well, remind me to send it to you. That's really good.
Sure.
You're like, I don't care. But wrestling's been good. AEW finally had its first ever like women's main event on Dynamite, which is big for them, and it was a hardcore match to boot. And I didn't think it was like gonna get like too hardcore. They've had like no DQ women matches before, and I was like, oh, it's just it's gonna be like that, which is fun. I like it. There might be a chair or a table involved. That's like that's fun. Maybe somebody gets like one of the guardrails and does something. Okay, like let's go. But no, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker decided that they were just gonna really fucking go like the hardcore route, using ladders, tables, chairs, crutches. There was a thumbtack spot, which was, like I've said on this podcast multiple times, I think, or at least multiple times across our podcasts, where I've said you cannot fake a thumbtack spot. You can try, but if you come up off all those thumbtacks with none of them sticking in you, people know that you faked it. So when I see wrestlers like get slammed into just a pile of thumbtacks, I always feel real bad because I'm like, oh, I've stepped on a thumbtack. It's not fun. I would consider that worse than stepping on a Lego, to be honest. Or even worse than stepping on a D4. Thumbtacks suck. And so I can't imagine letting somebody pick me up on their shoulders and then slamming me down full force into a bunch of them. That is hard. It's hard to watch when somebody does that. But it was a good match. Probably one of the best women's matches that AEW's ever had. And Thunder Rosa won. I love Thunder Rosa. I hope this means that she'll be signing with AEW sooner rather than later. But we'll just have to see how it goes. So, other matches that night were cool too. Boop boop. I mean, that was like the big one for me. So,
right.
And the one we're talking about. And that's pretty much all I have. So I have nothing. Oh, explaining people today how supply and demand works, because they want to blame certain people for gas prices. And it's like that person has no control over the gas prices. It's supply and demand. But, high school economics is tough. I get it. Sorry, I'm trying to stall so we don't have to get into this episode. But,
so what does this think about gas prices?
Oh, so somebody on TikTok made a 5-second video. Like, don't you just want to punch a liberal every time you have to you have to get gas? Implying that because of Biden, gas prices are going up. But that's not how that works.
Gas prices are driven strictly by speculation. It's not even supply and demand. It's just speculation.
It is kind of supply and demand too. Like right now, our supply on oil is down, and demand is up. And part of that is because we're switching over to different fuels. Like instead of our winterized fuels for cold weather, we're moving over to our summertime fuels. And so while we're doing that, those kinds of fuels will be more scarce. But more so, we shut down a lot of the offshore oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico and off the coast of Florida in 2020. And so we don't have as much supply as normal. So yeah, there is speculation, of course. But there is still a supply and demand factor here. On top of our supply going down, more people are going places because there's a vaccine. So demand's up. So yeah. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think people should be traveling, period, right now.
Probably not.
Yeah, sure, there's a vaccine, but not enough people are getting it because they think they're getting chipped by the government, even though they carry around a phone. Like, I think I've said this on one of our podcasts before. Folks, if you have a phone, any kind of phone, not even just a smartphone, just like a regular flip phone, or even if you have a Nokia brick from the late 90s, early 2000s, you know what it has in it? It has a chip in it for like can track you and listen to you. They've had them. It's a thing. So you willingly carry around a thing that lets the government track you. So you might as well just get the vaccine because you know what? They don't need to put in a thing into you when you're already doing the work for them. So just get the vaccine. Get it.
What do you think they're like? What do you think? Like, what do you think they're gonna do if they put a microchip in you?
I don't know. Control your brains. Arrest you for thought crimes. What other stupid shit those people believe in? I don't know.
Who fucking knows?
Somebody's cooking something.
Ready to talk about the bad episode yet?
Yeah, let's talk about the bad episode.
All right, so some shit occurs. It is different between between the sub and the dub. The dub changes it significantly.
I mean, as they should.
Like that is definitely a thing that they should have changed.
I mean, I did watch just that part of the dub to see if they changed it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the better route.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't understand why anybody would think that the way they decided to go was like the good way to go, because I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny at all. And maybe okay, I admit that I have a different sense of humor here in the West than they do in Japan. Like I get that. But who thinks that this is funny? Like I don't get the gag. I mean, I get the gag, but I don't think it's a good gag. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I am upset that the show is not delivering on what the first episode promised.
Yeah.
After a run of like 3 or 4 episodes, I pretty much liked. The first 2 episodes I liked. This is the 4th episode, right?
This is the 4th episode, yeah. The first 2 episodes pretty good. 3rd episode.
I liked the 3rd episode.
Well, yeah, you'd introduce your favorite archetype.
I don't know what this is.
This is not good. This episode. Maybe later episodes will be better. Maybe this is just a really bad episode.
I mean, there's probably a reason that I've never heard of the series before.
I have a friend who's told me that this series is actually pretty good, and they liked it a whole lot. I think that they didn't remember this particular episode, otherwise they would have told me about it. For sure.
Probably.
So I have hope that this is going to get better. Or at least not get this bad again. So, let's get into it.
It's really just like one scene that puts it over the edge.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple weird scenes in this one. But here we go. So we watched episode 4, Capricious Lady. And it starts off with Ando carrying Chifuyu to school. And he's like, why aren't you just using your powers to get to school? She's like, it's the morning, so there's a lot of people around. I thought we were going to keep all our powers secret. He's like, all right. You're right. I should have realized that. By the way, I'm getting tired. Can I stop carrying you now? She's like, no. She's like, I love having you carry me. He's like, what? She's like, your back is big and warm. It's so comforting. He's like, what? She's like, it's reliable and manly and really cool. And this powers up Ando because she says, okay, but if you don't want to. He's like, no. I'm totally cool to do it because she's playing him. She's like, yep. Yep, you're really easy to manipulate. She's like, thanks, Ando. You're so easy. I mean, nice. You're nice, Ando. He's like, yeah, I'm only doing what any man would do. He tires himself out getting her to school. She's like, good job, Ando Russell. This is when her best friend shows up. What is this kid's character's name? They're about to say it, but she's talking to Chifuyu-chan. She's like, Chi-chan, you're late. I was worried about you. Where have you been? Oh, your ribbon's crooked again. Let me fix that. Let's put your plushie in your bag. Let's dust you off, clean you up. Like, she's very, like, she's a very good friend. And she's like, okay, now you're all set. Endo's like, who is this? And she's like, oh, good morning. I am Chi-chan's friend, Kuki Madoka. And Ando freaks the fuck out. He's like, Kuki Madoka? Oh. And it's like... He's like, that's so cool. That's such a cool name. And he's like doing like a dance about it. And Kuki's like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this? And Chifuyu's like, oh, this is Ando. She's like, oh, Ando from the literature club. Chi-chan talks about you guys all the time. He's like, oh, she does? She's like, yeah. She always tells me how she goes over there to like play and stuff. He's like, oh, well then, Kuki-chan, I hope you continue to get along with Chifuyu. She's like, yeah, you don't have to fucking tell me that. I'm her best friend, dipshit. And she pulls Chifu-chan away from Ando into school. Ando's like, oh, wait a minute. I never did ask why Chifu-chan was saying she was going to drop out. I'm sure that's not important because I'm going to be late to school myself. And so he runs to school. We cut over to the school. He's running through the hall to get to class when he bumps into his teacher and falls over. Like, he, like, headbutts her. She's like, hey, Ando, watch where you're going. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry. He's like, you know, some people walk while they're sleeping. It's dangerous when you're running around like that. And he's like, I think you're the only person who does that. It's like, oh, shut up. Anyway, has Chifuyu visited the literature club lately? He's like, yeah. I mean, she's there all the time. Is there something wrong with that? She's like, no, I guess not. But anyway, get to class. You're going to be late. It's just, you know, it isn't normal for a lone elementary schooler to be hanging out with a bunch of high schoolers. That's weird. But just, you know, just think about that. But go to class. He's like, yeah, okay. Later in literature club, Ando throws his hands down onto the desk and he's like, I don't think I've ever lamented my foolishness as much as I've lamented it today. And everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong? Sayumi is like, did you learn something new about her power, something dangerous? And they're like, what's going on, Ando? What's with the box there? He's like, I should have noticed it sooner. With Chifuyu-chan's powers, we could be cosplaying all we want. And they're like, what the fuck? Tomoyo's like, why did you create such an oppressive atmosphere and then say that? What is wrong with you? Toyoko, what is her name? God damn it.
Tomoyo.
It's not Tomoyo. I just said Tomoyo. It's the other one, the white-haired one.
Saki?
Nope.
Oh, Hadako.
Hadako, thank you. Hadako. She's like, I can't believe you made it sound so serious. But Sayumi's like, hey, but, you know, he's not wrong. We could be able to do that, but it might not be. But Chifuyu's like, hey, that sounds fun. I'd like to try it. And Ando's like, yeah, everybody write down something you want to cosplay and put it in the box. This is random draw. Whatever you draw, that's what you're wearing. Ando's first. He picks a maid outfit, and he's dressed up in a maid outfit. And everybody's like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. Sayumi's taking 1,000,000 pictures. Tomoyo is laughing her ass off. Hotoko is just like, she's like, oh, that's the one I wrote. It really suits you. It's really great. You're so cute. He's like, why are you taking so many pictures, Sayumi? And she's like, now if I combine this picture with the one I took of Sagami-kun. He's like, why are you bringing up Sagami? It's like, no reason. She is a Fujoshi.
Fujokes. Fujoshi jokes.
Fujoshi jokes. Fujokes. All this part of this episode is the good part of the episode. I like all this.
Yeah.
He's like, anyway, it's your turn, Tsuyumi. You do it. She picks bloomers. And Toko's like, oh, that's another one I wrote. She gets dressed in the classic anime gym outfit. And she's like, you can laugh if you want to. This is when she feels like, yeah, bloomers don't suit you. She's like, I know. I look too old. This is when Ando says some dumb shit, which brings the scene down for me. He's like, what are you saying? In fact, Sayumi's bloomers work because they don't suit her. The sense that she's forcing herself to make an effort carries a perverse charm. And this is when she punches him. She punches him right in the face. That's good stuff. Hotoko's next. She picks one, and she picks out the sun. And they're like, the sun? Chifuyu's like, yeah, that's mine. She's like, you don't mean like the sun, that sun? She's like, yes, the sun in the sky. When I grow up, I want to be someone who brightens everyone, just like the sun. And he's like, and Anna's like, oh, okay, I see. Hotoko's costume is pretty adorable. It is a sun. I like it. She's very happy with it. She wiggles around, flails her arms. She likes it. Chifuyu's next. She pulls out bondage gear. And Ando's like, oh yeah, that was mine. And everybody's like, why would you fucking... What are you trying to make us wear, dude? He's like, no, it's not it. I wanted to wear it. Everybody's like, what? He's like, well, it's kind of cool, right? We cut over to Chifuyu, who is in Voldo gear, basically. Like, it's not erotic, I would say, personally, for me.
It's what, if you've seen Code Geass, it's what C2 wears.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It is what C2 wears. I'm very glad they didn't go in a different direction with this, is all I have to say. But Chifuyu is wiggling around. He's like, no, that's enough. Stop doing that. And he pulls off, like, the blindfold and the gag. And she's like, oh, thank goodness. That was terrible. She's like, but do I look cool? They're like, sorry. That's not what I expected. Tomoyo's last, and she picks out bikini armor, which Ando is, like, super, super excited for. He's like, yes! He's like, oh, wait, who could have wrote that one? And it turns out Tomoyo wrote it herself. And he's like, why would you write that down? Well, if you wrote it down, you have to reap what you sow. Chifuyu's like, what is bikini armor? They show her some examples, and Chifuyu's like, she blushes a little, but she does outfit Tomoyo in this bikini armor, and it's a thing to look at. But everybody thinks Tomoyo looks really cute. Ando is like, oh yeah, it looks fine on you, as he blushes and turns away. And she's like, what is that supposed to mean? This isn't any fun at all. I don't want to do this anymore. But we get a close-up of Tomoyo looking away and smiling. And Hotoko's like, oh, I see. But she feels like, all right, Ando, take a picture of all of us. This will be a memento. We don't have a single picture with all of us in it. And everyone's like, yeah, that's true. Tomoyo says, I don't really want to do that, but if Chifuyu-chan's asking, then it can't be helped. I'll do it. Ando sets up a camera with a timer, sets it off. They all get a picture where they're posing, and it's a good time. This is when there's banging at the door, telling them to unlock the door because it's somebody. It's Satomi-sensei. They're like, hey, Chifuyu-chan, dispel your powers. She's like, okay. She does, but she doesn't redress anybody. Everybody's basically in their underwear. Except Tomoyo, who's in nothing. That's weird. That's suspicious. That's weird. But she smacks Ando, like, covers up his face in his own uniform, and everybody gets dressed real fast. So everybody gets dressed. So Tomi-sensei comes in. She's like, what were you all doing? They're like, sorry, we were just, all these books were lying around, so we were cleaning up in a panic. We're like, yeah, haha. She's like, okay, well, that's not why I came to talk to you guys today. Chifuyu, I heard you left school early today. And I'm just like, but I walked her to school myself this morning. What are you talking about? And Chifuyu's hiding behind her doll. So Tomi says, well, apparently her stomach hurt and she left so she could go home. And I was like, did your stomach hurt, Chifuyu-chan? And she nods. She's like, really now? Is it still hurting? She's like, well, no, it felt better later. She's like, do you think coming here made it feel better? And Shifuyu's like, yeah. She's like, and so Tomi-san says like, did it really hurt? Shifuyu doesn't answer. She's like, okay, well, be sure to go to school tomorrow. I'll explain it to my sister because Satome is her aunt. Which I believe was explained before. I just want to like reiterate it.
I don't think it's been mentioned before.
Oh, well, it's her aunt. Anyway, Satome Sensei tells them all to head home before it gets too late. And so everybody's just kind of relieved that they dodged a bullet, but they all look to Shifuyu-chan who's like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm going home. She opens up a gate to her home and runs on through. Like, that's weird. We cut over to Ando's house. Oh, I'm sorry. We cut over to Chifuyu-chan's house as she teleports herself in. She is, of course, alone until there's a doorbell. It's,
Kuki.
Kuki. Thank you. Kuki. Kuki. We cut over to Ando's house next. And he's just enjoying himself. He's like, yeah, my sister's running late today. And so he starts singing, like, I only assume a song from some kind of anime in this universe. But he's, like, getting undressed, dancing around the house. He's like, I can watch a late night movie I record because the title sounded erotic. As he's saying that, walking into his room, Chifuyu-chan busts out of a portal. And she's like, Ando. He's like, yeah. She's like, you watch late night movies with erotic titles? He's like, no, I don't. He's like, but you just said that out loud. He's like, no, I didn't. He's in his boxers, by the way. It's weird. It's like, anyway, did you need me for something? She's like, I fought with Cookie. She calls her Cookie, as in like the cookie, like a food item. And Anna's like, oh, you mean Cookie from this morning? She's like, yeah. Cookie said that I shouldn't hang out with you and the others anymore because it's weird. And he's like, you shouldn't hang out with us anymore. She's like, yeah. She said, yeah. She said I should stop visiting the school. And he's like, so you guys fought over that? And she just nods. She's like, she said it's weird for me to hang out with high schoolers. And Ando's like, He remembers what Satome Sensei was saying. And he's like, anyway, Chifuyu-chan, I think you should go home for today. Just, go home. And we can talk about it in detail tomorrow. I think that would be a good idea. She's like, it's awkward. Cookie's at my house right now. And he's like, what? You left Cookie-chan at your house by herself? And she's like, yeah, I did. He's like, then you really need to get back there soon. She's like, it's awkward. I've made an awkward situation. And I was like, okay, what if I went with you? She's like, really? He's like, yeah, I can. He's like, all right, then please do. She opens up a portal under him, and he drops into her house in his boxers. This is when Cookie busts open the door from whatever room she was in. And she's yelling, I'm sorry, Chifu-chan, that I went too far earlier. Huh? What's this? She sees Ando. He's just there in his boxers. She's like, good evening. And she screams because, of course. And so he's like, no, there's a good reason for this. I swear. He's trying to cover himself up. And Chifu-chan walks up behind him. He's like, so how did it go? And he's like, I think you just made the problem even more complicated. Cookie walks out. She's like, Chi-chan, I was right. You shouldn't hang out with that guy. He's weird. He's a pervert. And he'll make you a pervert too. And she's like, you already have me, right? Why do you need anybody else? Why can't you just hang out with me? Stop hanging out with the high schoolers, okay? Chifu-san says no. She's like, not happening. She's like, why? Why isn't that? She's like, no means no. But you gotta tell me why. Chi-chan, why won't you listen to me? Which isn't, like, okay, I understand, like, as we get explained to earlier, that Cookie is, like, worried that Shifuyu won't hang out with her anymore and is leaving her behind. And she's just a kid. But I don't much care for, like, this, like, controlling aspect of this character.
Yeah, she's been really controlling, which is, like...
It's not good. Once again, she is a kid. So, kids are a little selfish like this.
Yeah.
But Cookie's like, do you have more fun with them than me? She's like, no, it's fun being with you too, Cookie. There's just, like, a reason that I have to hang out there with them. And there are things that you wouldn't understand about Ando and the others, so I can't like explain that. And Cookie's like, a reason? Come on, just tell me what it is. She's like, I can't say. She's like, you can't say. Why not? She's like, I can't say. I said I can't say. And she's like, you gotta tell me. And Shifuyu's like, no. So Cookie says, okay, so Chi-chan, if you do have more fun with them than with me, then I'll just leave you alone, basically. She like gathers her stuff, shoots onto a really cold stare, walks out of the house without saying anything more to Chi-chan than bye-bye, and runs out the house. And Ando is just like, what is going on? We cut over to commercial, and then back from commercial, and we're at the high school, or at a school, and Ando's giving Chifuyu a drink. She's like, thanks for not telling Cookie about our powers. She's like, yeah, that was the promise we made, right? I won't tell Cookie our secret. And Ando's like, yeah, but that secret's what caused this mess in the first place, right? Huh. And Shifu's like, I wasn't able to make up with Cookie today. Like, she didn't say hi to me. She wouldn't help me fix my ribbon. So I did it on my own. We look at the ribbon, it's like janked. And she's like, she wouldn't show me her homework either. And she wouldn't eat my green peppers at lunch. And Anna's like, what? And Shifu's like, without Cookie to guide me, I nearly got lost at school today. And Anna's like, aren't you a bit too dependent on her? Shifuyu says, I need to find a replacement quickly. She's like, no, what? She's like, I'm just kidding. No one can replace Cookie. She's my best friend. She's like, maybe Cookie and I can never be friends again, though. And she starts, like, tearing up. And Ando's like, I don't like this, but I got a plan. He goes into Chuni mode. He calls her Princess Shifuyu. He says, Princess Shifuyu, such a sullen look doesn't suit you. Today, guilty as Sinjirai will be Princess Shifuyu's knight. A nine-tailed fiend bears her fangs against the master of creation. This is bad. But in truth, she is a kind girl who cares for her friend. I shall return this fiend to her true form. This is a lot. But Shifuyu-chan gets it. She's like, oh, you're going to help me make up with Cookie? It's like, yeah, I will, your highness. It's full Chuni shit. He catches Cookie outside of her piano lessons. And he's like, hey. She's like, you're Ando-san. And she pulls her backpack off her back and grabs the panic cord, which is a thing in Japan because there is a problem with children being, like, kidnapped in Japan. Like, a real one. Like, this is a real thing. Like, so they give grade schoolers panic cords so when an older pervert tries to, like, snag them up for bad things, they can pull that cord and let people know that they're being kidnapped. Like, this is a real thing. So she's, like, really threatening Ando here. Like, hey, what do you need, you pervert? I'm armed and ready to go. And Ando's like, whoa, hold on. I just wanted to talk for a bit. And she's like, no, I am busy. He's like, you commute to this piano classroom by bus, don't you? You can at least talk to me until the next bus comes. And she's like, how do you know that? Have you been stalking me? How do you know this place? This is stalking, right? He's like, no, I didn't do that. I heard it from Chifuyu-chan. She's like, oh, Chi-chan. We cut over to the high school where Chifuyu's sitting in the club room by herself, and Tomoko... Why do I always, like... I know that's close to her name, but it's not right. Hadako. Yes. Blech. Hadako walks in. She's like, what are you doing here by yourself? Where are the rest? And Shifu-chan says, they left. They said they'd be right back, though. She's like, Hadako notices that Lee-sun, the squirrel plush that Shifu-chan carries around, has a tear in the tail and starts fixing it. And we get the backstory that this is actually a gift from Satome-sensei because Shifu-chan used to always take naps and play with Satome-sensei. But then she got busy being a teacher, and so Tomoe Sensei won this prize for her out of like a claw game, and she's always like carried Lee Sun afterwards because it's like not like a replacement, but sort of like a it's just like a what?
Memento?
A memento. It's a comforting thing.
Yeah.
Hatoko fixes up Lee Sun, hands it back over, and she feels down. Like, thank you. She's like, see, if you try hard enough anything can be fixed. So it'll be all right, Shifu-chan. I'm sure you'll be able to make up with Kuki-chan. It's like, you guys are close enough to fight after all. And Shifu-chan just kind of stares at her, and we cut over to Ando and Cookie sitting at the bus stop. And I gotta tell you, the way the dub went with this, that's the way I thought they were going to go, because that makes like complete sense to me, right? Obviously, there's a secret that Shifu-chan's keeping about their superpowers. It's causing a rift between her and her best friend, who she relies on a whole lot and really cares for. So the obvious solution is to tell this friend about the secret. That just makes sense to me, right? And that's the way the dub goes with it. I just went as far as to see how they changed it initially, and then watched the whole scene. So you'd have to tell me if they went how deep he went into this.
He doesn't actually say what's going on, but he goes on a big chuny rant, and she's like, "Oh, he's just a harmless idiot."
Oh, okay, because that's not what happens here in the original at all. So Anno's like, friends have a secret too, right? She's like, yeah, I know, but I don't like it. Like, I don't like Chi-chan lying or hiding things from me. It's not nice. He's like, all right, if you're willing to go that far, then I will tell you our secret. And she's like, really? You're going to tell me the secret? He's like, yeah, but you can never tell anybody. You have to promise me that you won't tell. He's like, yeah, I won't. He's like, Cookie-chan, the truth is, I hate this. I hate this with every fiber of my being, because this is a bad idea. Even if we're just like, oh, he's a chuny, so he obviously makes poor decisions. Like, this is a really fucking bad decision. Like, and I don't know who thought it was a good idea. I hate it.
He goes on a rant claiming to be a pervert and a pedophile.
Yeah, he goes on a rant claiming to be a pedophile. It's really bad. He says, I'm a lolicon, which she backs the fuck up from him immediately, which you would. Why? I mean, you're like, nope. She's like, I would be pulling, if I were her, I would have been pulling my cord immediately. Like, nope, no good.
Yeah.
But he does. He goes on this big rant about being a lolicon. He's like, yeah, that's right, I am a lolicon. She's like, no, I heard that. But he's like, yeah, I am a true lolicon. My strike zone for women lies between 11 and 7 years old. And it's like, why? Why would you go this far? This was bad. This was bad from the start. Real bad. But I'm just like, I'm not going to read the rest of his rant because it's bad. But he makes it out that he just hanging out with Shifu-chan and doing activities with her, hanging out, makes him feel less predator. It fills his lolicon desires. It's a bad rant. It's the worst. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. It's real bad.
She's like, this was a more hopeless excuse than I was expecting. He's like, yeah, well, that's what you, when you open Pandora's box, it just comes out. And she's like, don't try to look cool, you pervert. This is when a car pulls up. And Shifu-chan jumps out. She's like, and Cookie's like, what are you doing here? And she's got an extra plushie with her. It's like a little bear. She's like, I asked Shiharu, which is Satome Sensei's first name, to bring me here. She's like, Cookie, this is for you. And she hands her the bear. She's like, I just went in an arcade with Shiharu as a symbol of our making up. You know, I like everyone at the literature club, but I also like you. And I want us to be friends. I like all of you a lot. And so I don't want us to not get along anymore. She hands her the bear. It's very nice. Cookie starts crying and they hug each other. And Cookie's like, I was just scared. I was afraid the high schoolers would take you away from me. She's like, I'm so sorry that we were fighting. I didn't know you were just watching out for Ando-san, which is terrible. Which is terrible. Children shouldn't have to look after perverts. I hate this. Shifu says, will you keep taking care of me, Cookie? She's like, yeah, of course I will. You know, we're best friends. And Nando's like, yeah, good. This is ending well. Satome, who thankfully did not hear his fucking rant just moments ago, walks up and says, hey, I'm sorry for all the trouble that this was causing you. It's like, no, this is partially our responsibility too for like causing a rift. Then we get a flashback of Satome Sensei introducing Chifuyu to the literature club. She's like, you know, this is my sister's kid, but I was going to hang out with her today, but I got called into a meeting. Could you guys just look after her for a little bit? I really appreciate it. And that's how Chifuyu came to hang out with the literature club. And really liked them. She's very happy. She didn't feel lonely anymore. So we got her to the next day, and Ando's walking into the literature club room, and immediately Tomoyo says, oh, look, it's the LOLICON night. And he's like, no, I'm not. Shifuyu shows off her like pigtails. She's like, look, Cookie did this for me. He's like, oh wow. She's like, is it cute? It's like, it's very cute. And everybody's just like giving him a look like, uh-huh. To which he says, you know, whatever. I don't care if I am a LOLICON. Which is bad. I hate this. It's like, hey, Shifuyu-chan, why were you trying to quit elementary school before? She's like, oh, that's because I was trying to quit elementary school and enter high school. Like, enter high school? You mean ours? You're going to come to our high school? It's like, yeah, I was skipping classes to study so I could skip grades. She's like, you really only wanted to go to high school? She's like, yeah. She's like, oh man, I worried over nothing. I'm like, yep, that sounds like Chifuyu. Tsuyumi says, Chifuyu-san, don't your powers make it hard for you? Doesn't it get hard to try to keep your powers a secret after they've awakened in you? It's just like, don't worry. I'm fine because you're all here. I'm fine because I have Ando, Tomoyo, Hatoko, and Tsuyumi. Oh, also Kudo. So I'm glad my powers awakened. It's getting fun to play in different ways. And it's okay because it's fun. And they're like, oh, I see. Plus, I realize I'll catch up to Ando soon. And he's like, what? What does that mean? He's like, well, in 2 years, I'll graduate elementary school, so... And yes, in 4 years, I'll catch up to Ando. And the idea here is that Ando will always be immature. And so as Chifuyu-chan goes up through their grades, she'll become, you know, mature, where he won't be. And so since Ando will always be a chuny, yes, Chifuyu-chan will catch up and surpass Ando. Eventually. She's like, in 4 years, I'll be in the 8th grade. Then I'll be the same as you. Because being a chuny is also known as 8th grader syndrome. She's like, I'll catch up to you since you'll be a chuny forever. And he's like, oh, you know what? Fine, I don't care about that. He's like, my name is Guilty as Sanjirai. No matter how many months or years may pass, I shall await you. He does like a bunch of poses on the back of a chair. It's like this, like, if it wasn't for that one scene, I would not dislike this episode.
It's like a scene from a completely different anime is entered in the show for like a minute, and then it goes back to normal. It's so fucking out of left field and weird. I don't fucking get it.
I don't get it. I don't like it. I hate it. I hate it so much. But that's the end of the episode. Yeah, we did not get any questions, but we did get responses to our question. Well, we got a response. But hey, that's not zero. So my post said, I am at my fucking limit with this anime. Who thought this was a good idea? Ask us about cosplay, bad ideas in anime, Studio Trigger, and anything else on this episode of Let's Pull the Trigger on the podcast. I can't think of a worse idea in anime that's been executed. If I'm being honest. Nope. This one was...
Worst idea. In context, a worse idea? No.
Whatever. Either way.
Like, I've seen tons of anime with bonkers fucking endings and shit. So, like, I've seen anime go off the rails.
Well, yeah.
So I can't say this is the worst thing I've ever seen, but this is pretty bad.
The listener question this week was, are there any characters you want to cosplay? There are lots of characters I want to cosplay. I have always wanted to cosplay Lulu from Final Fantasy X. Like,
you could totally pull it off.
I don't think I could pull it off, but I mean, it would be fun to do regardless. That's like... Go ahead.
I think you could.
Oh, thank you. That's the dream. That's the big one. That's my white whale, as it were. How about you?
There's a lot of characters I like, but I'm way too self-conscious. I never really got into cosplay.
Fair enough. We did get... Oh, go ahead.
I've done a few stray ones over the years, but it's not really something I really got hard into.
Fair enough. We got one response from @SnowyKittenGirl on Twitter. And they said that they would like to play Q from They would like to cosplay Q from Street Fighter Third Strike, which I looked at the character, and it wasn't what I expected. But you know what? You gotta do you. And you know what? If you want to do it, go for it. Shoot for the stars. It's great. Yeah. Now that is... Unless you pose the question to your Discord.
No responses on Discord.
All right. Then we've got nothing else to talk about. This was a bad episode. Even though it had some good stuff in it, that whole scene just brings it down for me. I hate it. And I hope that the rest of this anime is better. That is my genuine, true hope. Do you have anything else to add?
Not really.
All right, then let's take it out of here. Where can people find you online if they want to talk to you about stuff?
I am on Twitter way too much. I'm at Dr. C Monster. That's at DRC Monster. Come and find me on Twitter, where I still talk about magic sometimes.
Nice.
Actually, I donated to a so a magic YouTuber had a raffle to raise donations for the Trans Lifeline.
Right.
And I donated a thing to it, and a friend of mine thought that was really cool that I donated, so he sent me a bunch of stuff. And it turned out to be like 6 deck boxes and 200 sleeves. It was really cool of him.
Nice. Very cool.
Yep. How about you? Where do we find you?
You can find me online, as always, on Twitter at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on the numerous podcasts I do, such as Pining for the Falls, where me and Dr. C Monster do this, but for Gravity Falls. It's real fun. We like it a whole lot. Yeah. And, if you... I can almost guarantee you, if there's a social media site out there, other than, a shitty one, you can pretty much find me at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. That's me. So, yeah, that's it. So, until next time.
The dark spirits have returned, and they're trying to drag me into hell. I'll try to seal the portal from this side, but you've got to stop the recording before any more of them escape.
Oh, that sounds important. We gotta go. Bye.